Hello ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's your boy izlogic. Welcome you to the last Anarchy analysis full game cast for week 5 of the LEC. It's going to be G2 versus Mad. We end this in style as we look at these two teams as a whole. This is going to be such a big matchup for you guys, as these two teams, one is the Sleeping Giants, the other is the current Mad Lions at the top of the table, and as a whole this should be a fairly competitive game. That being said, G2 obviously took the week off before this game, and as such we should see a possibility of a very weakened G2 against this Mad Lions. Anyway, bans are coming through thick and fast. TF immediately put on the ban bench, as Cabs is a very good roaming mid laner, so getting rid of it is quite huge. That being said, Cabs will look to go to the AP Cogmore, more than likely, because that is sort of his main dealio. Sandra, though, is banned out by G2, as it's one of Mad's main ADC picks. Reason being, it allows Kaiser to be a top laner, which he originally was, and as such, it is very good to ban this against Mad. Azir, though, hits the ban bench by Mad. They're kind of trying to funnel Caps onto the Cogmore, and they realistically want to limit the champions that Caps can play. Ori, though, is banned out, as that has been Humanoid's main champion in this current meta, as it's been very, very dominant for him, and realistically it controls so much of the map in terms of team fighting and locking up enemies with ease. That being said, the Syndra is the last ban from Mad. Again, they're removing these strong AP control mage mids, obviously trying to force Caps onto the Cogmore. That being said, the Pantheon ban does come through from G2, which is quite good because that can obviously be flexed between 3 positions, and Kaiser has shown some good success on it. However, that does mean that the Kalista makes it through the ban phase, and it's immediately first picked by Mad, because Mad really value this pick over a Volibear, which G2 are hovering right now, because it gives Kazi this tool to obviously farm up, be a threat into late game, as well as the fact that it's one of Perks' main ADCs, so banning it or picking it would be huge, and because Mad get first pick in this game, they'll obviously go for it. That being said, G2's side of things, they have the Volley and the Ezreal. Volibear is probably the strongest jungler in the current meta right now, has a lot of attack speed, has a lot of armor stacking and shielding. He's very, very strong at early game ganks, and in team fights towards the late game, obviously he can dive between turrets and be very, very potent at it. And what's a good champion to follow up with the Volibear? It's the Ez. You've got a high amount of poke and sustain in terms of your kit, as well as the fact you have your built-in flash in the Arcane Shift. It is very easy to obviously go dive forward with Ez. If he gets pressured enough, you can just flash out. And as such, a good counter to an Ezreal is a Leona. Reason being is, when you're hit by the Xerath Blade by Ezreal, if you don't Arcane Shift before it hits, she's just coming straight to you, and she can lock you up with a lot of ease, as she has a Q that stuns, she has a Solar Flare ult that stuns, and as such, it's very hard to obviously escape when there's this lockup. And combined with the Lee Sin, who can just kick you back in after you've Arcane Shift, it's very hard to obviously escape this dive, considering there's also the Kallista's Fake Call alongside it. Last pickup in this phase was the Braum for Mickey. Obviously, it provides a bit more safety to Perks' Ezreal, as it is a lot harder to obviously get behind him. Obviously, you can't throw spears through the Unbreakable Shield, and essentially you just stop a lot of the damage from Kalista, who will be probably hurricaning when she can obviously afford it into the late game. But yeah, this is quite huge. As we look at the second ban phase, Wukong and Renekton obviously hitting the bans, as top lane has not been locked in by either team. There still is the possibility that Volibear could be flexed to the top side. That being said, it is very minimal, considering Yankos is very, very good at Volibear and could realistically carry on it. But Wukong, high amount of engage would work incredibly well with the Volibear, so Mad removes that from the Fort Beal Ord. And what we're possibly looking at with GP banners well coming through, Renekton and GP are quite good blind pick top laners, and what we're probably going to see is the Malphite ban. And as a whole, I think the picks that are available is obviously the Ornn, which is a big bulky boy in that top side. There is the Camille, which G2 are going to lock in. It's a good amount of engage with the hook shot into the Hextech Ultimatum. You lock up and do a lot, but if Mad want to pick something like the Ornn here, it wouldn't get punished too hard by the Camille, because you can obviously buy a lot of armor. Considering you look at the G2 side, they're all AD mostly, and it's very easy to build up the armor on Ornn and be very defensive, and as such, it's actually not going to be the Ornn, it's going to be the big counter with the Jax. Oh boy, this is going to be fun, as Galio is a great champion in responding to ganks, and what's more, you just put up the counter strike, you buy a lot of time because the autos from Camille will not land, and then when that's up, the Galio will land as well. It's very easy to lock up the Camille if she doesn't have a hook shot, and essentially just respond to the pressure this Camille can apply. But the Caps has locked in the Casio. It's very strong into the Galio, into the Jax, and the Lee Sin and Leona. Reason being is because they have such good tools, because they want to be really close to you. It's very easy for Casio to just put the miasma down and pile on a ton of damage with the Twin fans and the ultimate from Caps. And look at these two drafts, in my opinion, Mad get the slight advantage with the Galio combo with the Jax, and they also have a strong bulky frontline with the Leona and the Galio. They just need to realistically build armor, and as such, I think Mad outdrafted G2 here. That being said, it is down to how the champs are played, and well, that's it, as we are gonna load into this game. Welcome to the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. My name is izlogic.business. I've said it already. We're gonna do it normally. And yeah, we're looking at this game as the match of the week for the LEC. It's not my match of the week, that being said. But normal setup from G2 as the line of skirmishes set. Whereas Mad are going for this level 1 invade protection. A sort of thing that people tend to go to in solo queue, where they rush that bottom brush and then they wrap around to red. But obviously G2 aren't going to go for this. They're just going to defend the entrances to the jungle and realistically not give any pressure away to Mad. But yeah, it looks to be a normal blue buff start for the Jax and the Lee Sin, as the blast cone gets popped there. Looking at G2, it's going to be a red buff start for the Volibear, which is a standard starting point for it as well. Bot side of things, we look at the matchup here. A big matchup as Kazi, who's been probably one of the most dominant ADCs. I'd say behind Upset, who's been obviously very consistent in his performance this split, but Kazi has been very hard to beat with Kaiser alongside him, whereas Perks obviously has had a bit of a rough season, I would say. He played mid at the start of it in spring, G2 won that split, he then roams down to the bot side and becomes the ADC again. Well, let's just say he hasn't played too well. He hasn't been the standout performer for G2. It's definitely been Caps in the mid wave. And as such, this is interesting because he's had to have time off to obviously refresh himself, allow him to perform better, as he's been frozen off this wave by the Kalista and Leona. And it's already taken a ton of damage. He's already down to below a quarter health, and he's going to have to use them health pots to get himself back up. But a great amount of poke and damage coming out from the Kalista as Lee Sin has been caught out here by the Volibear, even though Lee Sin thinks he's caught him out, but the nice taunt out of the Galio there as it lowers Camps to below half health, and he does have very little mana, but obviously he has got the Volibear hanging around the mid wave to protect him. Obviously the Galio being a melee champion, I don't think he wants to be diving into an early game Volibear because his kit is so good, so his dueling would out damage the Galio, and as such he has to stay away. But obviously a lot of good protection given by Jankos there to keep the Cassiopeia alive as he returns back to his Raptor camp to clear them out. And looking at everything as it goes, there's a little jungle CS difference. It's very minimal. Sem in top lane, but that'll obviously even out soon, as Jankos is got the possibility of getting double scuttle, but he does know what's going on in the bot side as the ward will spot out Shadow in the jungle. And looking at this top lane trade, you essentially want to hold on to the Counter-Strike if you're the Jax for when the Camille goes to Q you first time, and if she does, you then put it up. She can't get the second proc off to do a lot of damage, and Camille's usually tend to use that time to hookshot the wall to get away from your stun and then come back in, obviously, to push you away a bit more. It's kind of the common trend for Camille's to do this in the dueling, and as such it gives her a little bit more of a shielding, it gives her a lot of protection in her kit, and as such it's quite hard for Jax early game to do anything about this Camille. However, we do see a nice bit of protection coming out of the Volibear here as he drops the E onto the minion wave, he chips away the health of the Kalista, and essentially it's very hard for the Kalista to push up, similarly with Leona, because they don't want to basically die to 3 men who are just sitting bot wave in your vision. But looking at Aromi versus Wonder, you look at the KDA, you look at the damage per minute, and the KDA and assist at 15 minutes. Awamne is sitting at the top of the table except for damage a minute. He's got the highest KDA, he's got the highest kills and assists at 15. Reason being is he's able to out-dominate these top laners, and last split you wouldn't have said that. Reason being, in spring he was essentially just the guy that played the Bullet Sponge champions. He was just there to be there. This split, he's there to play these carries, to be these very powerful champions. He's played a lot of Wukong, even if it is given over to Kaiser. He's playing a carry as we have the possibility of him being dove here by the Camille, but it's an immediate trade. As soon as that Counter-Strike comes down, you'd expect the Volibear to have come in there as he slightly positions over, but obviously Jax is not overstepping into the wave and backs away, and nothing's going to come out of that setup there by G2, but it was obviously sniffed out by Jax, who's now finally warded that brush, and as such, with that pressure and the possibility of knowing that the Volibear is topside, it means that he's going to obviously go take this Ocean Drake, as well as we just saw that there's a ward on the Raptor camp, so that Ocean Drake is definitely going over to G2, to Mad. But yeah, nicely done, and at this point, if you're Mad, you've got to be worried about your topside, considering they know Volley's up there, and as such, Jax should play under his turret, being respectful, and Caps, because of that, gets free access to the blue buff in the top side of the jungle, as Lee Sin has already gone into the bot side jungle to try and see what's going on there. He is going to be spotted though by the G2 bot lane, and he is looking to go in here as Galio does come out, the Xerath Blade does land, and Braum is being called out. The exhaust does come out onto the Lee Sin, but it is not enough as a Galio dive from the ultimate get them first blood, and they're going to get a bit of turret gold from these turret plates. A great dive there by Mad behind the turrets, as a nice trade up topside goes in favour of the Camille, though that counter-strike is going to land. But as we look at this replay, what's going to happen is G2 kind of overstep, as Mad know that he's there. They clear out the red ward, but because of that, it just means that Lee Sin's just going to ward over, hop over the wall. That gives Galio an ult target, double stun, knock up by the Galio, and then it's a lovely Winds of War to kill off the Braum. But yeah, mid-wave, it's fairly even in terms of gold because of that kill and first blood gold going over to the Galio. But Caps has the slight CS lead here, just about 10 or 9 in total actually. And looking at the top side, a big CSD in favour of Wonder there, who's gotten a lot of gold, as Galio has just been caught out by the Braum, who just gets hit by knockup, but the Miasma keeps Galio in place, and he is going to get chunked to below a quarter HP as Volibear. Oh, Volibear is looking for this. He does force the flash, a great flash away that is, as well, as the Q from the Leona is going to land. It forces Volibear all out, and the Chilling Smite, and this is just a continuation of the chase, as the Xerath Blade is not going to land, and Volibear manages to escape after burning the Galio's flash and his own flash for essentially basically his own flash as well. But that is going to be Herald going over to Mad, because Volibear has to back away because he was so low, and essentially has no reason to be on the map because he also doesn't have Smite, as Leona knows that's down, as she felt its chillingness on her. So Rift Herald is now in the back pockets of Mad, and Kazi and Kaiser are sitting in the top lane. They're looking to push that into the turret, and they're going to slowly push it as well. Obviously, they don't want to be killing the wave so quickly. They want to deny as much CS as possible from Perks and Mickey. But yeah, fairly standard here. As Jax makes it to the bot wave first, before the Camille. And Jax also still has TP, meaning he just walked down to the spot wave. And you look at this top side vision for G2, they have nothing in their own jungle, and it's allowed these 4 members from Mad to essentially get up here, as we do see the Leona and the Lee Sin just holding the wave back. Xerath Blade is going to land, and that is a very easy double kill for the Galio. And yeah, no real escape there for G2, as turret plating is going to fall in the mid wave, but that turret is going to fall in the top side, and that gold is going into the back pocket of the Jax solo gold for the Jax, I should point out. And first turret is gone down for Mad, as they are going to get a lot of gold into their back pockets, as a nice big 2k gold lead at 11 minutes makes this a very hard game for G2 to play, because Jax, once he starts getting that gold, he's going to be hard to kill, as he finally picks up his Blade of the Rune King as well. Jax is going to be a monster, as the Camille is building her Trinity Force. She's just going to be outscaled soon enough, as the Winds of War does a nice bit of damage there to the Braum and the Asio. This is quite bad for G2 when there's a possibility of not getting anything here. And the possibility of a perfect game is still on the table technically, as the Infernal Drake has been started up by Shadow. The second Drake, if Mad get it for themselves. As you look at the bot wave, Kazi is just killing the second turret with such ease. He's already got up to it. He has got his cutlass in his back pocket as well. And the Cloud Soul is what's going to be on the table for these two teams, as G2 have finally started claiming the top side jungle for themselves, as Ezreal is going to get a nice chunk of turret plating is, oh, lovely proto belt is going to come out there as the solar flare lands onto the Casio. She is going to fall as the turret in the bot side falls as well. It forces the flash out of the Wonder, and he is essentially flashing over to kick him in, and the Camille is in trouble here as she has no escape as all her tools are used. Down she goes, and Jax picks up the kill. What a lovely proto belt coming out of the pocket of the Galio to just go over the Casio ult. Lovely play there by the Galio. But one thing to note about that play was Lee Sin lost vision of Wonder in that play. If he did keep his vision and land the first attempt at the kick, that would have been a quicker kill and he might not have had to have blown flash. But we're going to probably get a replay of that again to what, and I want you to focus in as Kazi picks up his Blade of Rune King. Watch this play by Galio. He immediately shifts forward. Casio ults, but the proto belt over the top of the ult means that the Galio is not going to get hit by the stun, and then the soul flare comes out from the Leona. And that's very easy to lock up the Casio from that point and kill her. Flash comes out from Lee Sin, kicks him kind of away from the team, but obviously Emile has no tools left to obviously escape, so she is just going to fall. And as I said before the replay there, the Callista picked up the Blade of Rune King as we are looking topside. Wonder is just being chunked away by the Jax as re-engage is coming out from the volley bear, landing all his damage onto Leona, but that is the wrong target as the Galio is going to land straight on top of the Jax. He is immediately killed off though, as the Galio is really low here. Look at the amount of spears in Wonder as he is alive. Flash comes out of the volley bear though to lock up and kill the Galio, and G2 pick up 2 to get revenge for the dive from Mad. Wow. Lucky sort of play there from G2 to get themselves a bit more gold, and the perfect game ruined by that play by Mad. And wow, good punish there from G2 obviously to get some gold into their back pocket. And the good thing is the kills went over to the Casio and the Volley, 2 of their big traders in terms of team fighting, and the only bad thing was it for Mad was the shutdown came through onto the Galio for them. And realistically, at this point, you look at the items on each team. Casio has got Saros now, and she's looking to get that Archangel staff to get that big shielding. Obviously, that will be huge for her. As Galio, oh no, he's going to lock up the Camille and immediately is going to get jumped on. But it is fairly unlucky because he isn't going to be able to kill him as the rest of G2 have roamed down. They're looking to dive the Galio, who should know this is happening as the volley bear has stepped on a ward. He's going to immediately dive Taunt lands onto the volley bear, and the rest of the damage comes out from the Casio to kill her off. And what's Mad going to get in response? They're going to get the Rift Herald and probably a dead tier 2 turret in topside. So realistically, that pay is going to be quite bad for G2 as they get a kill for Rift Herald, for the tier 2 turret topside, and the possibility of the mid lane turret falling as well, as G2 essentially get a turret and a kill for a turret topside, and the possibility of a second turret, as we are going to see the Soul Flare slow down Braum, and he's going to die as the spears just stack up and rend him unable to escape. So that is going to be the mid lane turret going, and realistically in the long view of that play, that favoured Mad considerably. Yes, it's a bit of gold in the back pockets of G2, but Mad just are slowly but surely building up the lead as this Cloud Drake is spawning, and that will be sole point if Mad get it. I don't think G2 are going to contest this. They shouldn't realistically look to contest this because they are so far behind at this point in the game. It is huge that now that the Callista has finally got her Hurricane, as well, so it is a definite bad point if G2 wanted to fight here. And that is their second turret of the game for the Cloud Drake. In terms of the fair, it is a fair trade, I guess, is the best way to put it for G2 there. But Galio is going to come in here. They have got vision G2. Are we going to see the engage from the Leona? No. They're just going to clear the vision in the jungle set up by G2. And Mad are setting up vision around this Baron, which will be huge, which is probably the next contest point, as Mad have already invaded into this red buff G2 jungle. And Galio and Leona walking up. They are going to spot out Nyankos as the engager is coming on to Leona. She's been caught out, but the red buff is going to fall and go over to Kazi, so Mad get what they want out of this play, and they're just going to disengage and walk away. However, Humanoid is hanging around in his own vision. He's just going to walk away, but looking mid. Oh, lovely flash over the wall. It's going to hit the taunt onto 2, and Braum is essentially dead here. Lee Sin kicks away the Ezreal and is not going to kill him, but this is going to be a re-engage onto the Lee Sin here by the Camille. She's just going to log him up with the Hexic ultimatum and kill him off. Wow, G2 pick up a 1 kill here. For what though? They can't get anything on the map here if you're G2, and Mad are already just going to head back up top lane and push in that wave to the turret. As we rewatch this fight, we look at the Galio. He is spotted on the ward there. Lee Sin's also known, and essentially Ezreal and Braum have to run away at this point, and the basically cleanse comes out straight away from Perks to obviously get away from the taunt, and the kick away from Shadow kind of costs the kill there onto the Ezreal, and as such G2 are able to immediately collapse onto Lee Sin and kill him for free, basically. But obviously, looking at everything as a whole, it's still Mad ahead on everything. As we look at the gold difference, 700 gold difference between the supports. There is 2k gold difference between Kalista and Ezreal. That is huge. And mid-wave, there's a 1.2k lead for Cassio. And wow, G2 are losing that bot wave matchup considerably, as the fact that, we are going to see a re-engage here. The Lee Sin just narrowly escapes the stun from the volley there, and the follow-up from the rest of G2 there. But obviously, that Rift Herald is going to be dropped bot side, as their bot wave is pushing. It isn't going to hit the turret straight away, but it is going to force the response as a non-engage here, as the Solar Flare and the Kalista damage is just going to kill off the Ezreal. The re-engage, though, is onto the Asio, and she's just going to get kicked away to her death. And bye-bye, Braum. You're being chased down by a Lee Sin and a Leona. He's running to his death, and that Rift Herald in the bot wave is just killing the wave. It's going to have to force Yankos to it, but obviously G2 are giving away the Baron for this, and spoiler alert, he's spotted on a ward, so there is no way G2 are going to contest this. Mad are essentially getting this Baron for free, and guess what? 1 minute and 22 seconds on the clock for Cloud Soul. That is going to be a huge point of contest if you're Mad. That being said, G2 won't actually go for it, I don't think, because Cloud is considered the weakest soul in the game, and as such, realistically, shouldn't be contested. And basically, in my opinion, if G2 go for it, they're essentially giving up the game. They realistically, at this point, should just sit and scale. They have finally got the Seraph's Embrace fully stacked on the Cassio, which gives her a bit of safety. She also has the Rylai's, and the engage is going to come out onto Jax, who immediately flashes over the wall. He is going to go for the counter-strike, but the Hexic ultimatum is placed down on him. The re-engage is coming out from the Braum. He lands his ultimate on him, and Cassio is going to pick up the kill onto the Jax there. And G2 are giving up the mid-wave turret for this, though. So they're not going to get much out of this, as Cardi is just really killing it. G2 cannot contest, as Mad just hold that wave. They hold the line. They're holding the wall. and the map control from Mad is just suffocating G2 out of the game. That being said, G2 have got control of the Cloud Drake, and they do know that Shadow is in that brush, and he is just going to land that Sonic Wave onto him, and he is going to be caught out here. Volibear's just going to run him down. The Galio ult, though, does come out here as the lovely poke from the Ezreal and Mystic Shot lands, and Galio is re-engaging, though, as the re-engage comes through as well from the Jax. He jumps straight in as the Soul Flare lands onto the Casio, and the re-engage, though, Volibear lands and kills off the Galio, and Camille is just being chipped. And look at the amount of spears being stacked into that Volibear. He is immediately killed off, and double kill comes down to the Jax, and that is gonna be a 2-for-2 trade in that mini fight. But Jax is gonna come through. He is looking to kill off this Braum, and the poke, though, from the Ezreal is huge. It's pushing them away, but Kalista is just gonna stack her spears into that Cloud Drake, and that's gonna be Cloud Soul for Mad Lions. Wow. Let's look at that fight again. So, Shadow is stood on G2 vision because of that control ward. Perks, though, Mystic Arcane shifts over the wall and is immediately baiting this Lee Sin to obviously try and kill him. He kicks away the Volibear to try and stop the kill, but the nice damage coming out from the Ezreal there kills him off. Lovely cleanse out from the Ezreal to obviously void the stun from the Galio, but Jax just immediately dies onto the Casio and kills her off. And this fight ends with Kazi managing to turn up to this fight and kill off the Volibear. And that fight realistically favored Mad considerably. And G2, if they aced Mad there, they would have obviously got that Drake and stopped the Soul. But look at the damage there from the Ezreal. That last team fight, 5k, was huge. And it was because he stayed alive. He used his cleanse perfectly. Was able to keep away. As an engage does come out from Kaiser there, nothing's going to come from it, though. And as such, Mad are just going to look to push the waves in and go for these inhib turrets. It's realistically the only thing they can do here. And you look at the objective timers, 4 minutes on Elder till that spawns, and 2 on the Baron. There's nothing to contest right now, so Mad and G2 are probably just going to go into the farming state in the game. Not much realistically on the map to do as a whole, but the only realistic thing is set up a bit of vision, clear the waves, and build your items. And speaking of items, let's have a look-see at the map on terms of items that each team has. GA has been picked up for Kazi, which is huge. It means he's going to stay alive even longer in team fights, considering he also has lifesteal, as that Sonic Wave is going to land onto Volibear, but G2 are giving up a lot of vision in their jungle, and they're not going to be able to contest it because Kazi has so much power in his kit at this point in the game. He is almost unkillable at this stage, and Trinity Force also has been picked up for Jax here, along with that Aegis. Realistically, he's going to be harder to kill than the Kalista if he's able to get on your backline and kill them off before you're able to stop him. Essentially, this is quite a hard point in the game for G2 to obviously contest. They need to obviously get their items onto their carries, but the longer it takes, the worse it's going to get, because that Kalista can do so much more damage in the late game. As the flank has been set up there by the Jax, he is going to land the counter-strike onto the Volibear, forcing the ultimate out. Lovely dive there, and he gets the kick onto the Ezreal. Soul Flare is going to come out, and Braum is going to fall first. That's a kill for nothing there in that team fight so far. And True Shot Barrage comes out. It's going to clear the wave, but that is going to be the Baron 4. Mad here as an amazing play coming out from Shadow as he lands that kick into the Ezreal, knocking up the Braum. But wow, phenomenal play there coming out from the jungler on Mad, and that's going to secure this Baron for Mad. And as I said, this realistically is going to be game if they're able to set this push up. And speaking of the push, 2 minutes until Elder spawns. That possibly is going to be the last place for a fight for G2. But let's look at that fight as a whole again. It's just a lot of poke coming out from Ezreal as Volibear oversteps and he just gets counterstroke by the Jax. Look at that engage from Shadow. He uses the Volibear as his taxi in. He then gets hit slightly by the Cassio, but he then ward hops over and flashes, kicking in the Ezreal. Perfectly timed and perfectly executed to kill him off. To kill off the Braum as well from it. And Mad are setting up for this Elder, which should be the last fighting point for both teams. So, realistically at this point, looking at everything, Liandry's is finally complete for Cassio. That's going to be a lot of damage. Death Stance also picked up on the Ezreal. That's even more damage coming out from him. As we are going to see Galio possibly catching out the volley, but he's just going to force him away. This bot lane turret should fall here. However, it's going to be quite hard for Mad to get in on it, because they are all melee champions, bar the Kalista, who does have quite short range. And as such, the Cassio is just going to be used to try and clear the way, but that turret is going to fall with that down. Nice Soul Flare is going to catch out the Braum here, as G2 are re-engaging onto the Lee Sin. A lovely Galio is going to come out here, and he's going to taunt up the Camille. She is going to fall here, and Galio picks up the kill onto her, and essentially that great engage there comes out from the Jax to stop it, as an amazing Kalista Rend is going to kill the Braum. Jax is also going to pick up the kill onto the Ezreal. Kalista is just going to kill that Jax, that Braum with ease. And, well, there's no bot lane for G2 available. And that is going to be game as the taunt lands onto the Cassio, but she is just going to into status. Counter-Strike lands and she is dead. Down goes one Nexus turret. Down goes two. And that is going to be game. Mad Lions obliterate G2 in this game. And, well, let's just watch what happens here. Now we see him, now we don't. Mad just won that game in style. Oh boy. That was realistically a very dominant game by them in comparison to their week 1 performance. I'm amazed how well Mad did there. They just decimated G2. They controlled the tempo of the game. The Galio pick was able to roam, be a menace, and essentially carry Mad through this game to the point where Kalista could take over and win it. That being said, that's going to be it for this week's episode of the Anarchy Analysis Gamecast. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.